Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Deep Blue. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we're going to be out on a boat, going through the water, trying to find good spots to dive underwater to find all sorts of different treasures like artifacts and gems and gold and silver. Today we're talking about Deep Blue. This is the latest game coming out from Days of Wonder. It is a press your luck style game. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. In Deep Blue, you're going to be running your own ship, in this case, the Calypso, which you'll get 4 cards that you'll be playing over the course of the game, and a board that helps you through all the actions in these really cool treasure chests. Now here's the board for the game, and over the course of the game, you're going to be using your ships to navigate out to different spots, flipping over tiles and trying to dive what's there to get some treasure. Turns are very simple. Players will take turns in clockwise order. You could do one of 4 things. One of the things you could do is to travel. This is the little propeller that you're going to use your boat to travel around. Now the board does have a randomized setup, and there's some sort of starting tiles that are closer and some non-starting tiles that are further away. So when I do sail, I can play some cards from my hand. Everyone starts with the same sort of 4 cards, and this shows me that I can sail 2 and sail 1. So if I wanted to discard these cards, I could sail up to 3, and I could break those up any way I see fit. In purple, I could go 1, 2, and I could take this one and go somewhere else, like up to here to 3, and flip this tile over. Or maybe I want to go in here. Now when you go to a tile, you can actually go to one of the different spots that's there. These do different things that I'll tell you about in just a moment once we show you how to dive. Now that would literally be the end of my turn. And when you finish playing your cards, you'll put them face down here. And one of the things you can do, if you look at they're resting essentially, you're sleeping, one of the things you can do on your turn is to simply rest, which is shuffle all your cards that you've played and draw 3 of them into your hand. Another thing you can do is to spend money to get a crew member. Now crew members are off to the side. They are worth $1, $2, $2, or $3. You can also spend 4 to wipe all these and bring another one out and get one for free. But how do you spend this money? Well, on your cards you actually have a certain amount of money. Like these 2 cards is $1 a piece. So sometimes when you spend cards for some actions, you want to check out what you might be giving up in money. So in this case, I only have 2 cards left. Because I haven't rested yet, let's just say, and I have $2, I could buy this one for $1 or this one for $2. Now I brought those crew members here just so they're a little bit easier to see, and they do different things. Like if you have Archibald, then later you can play him and it will give you 3 travel. And when you do recruit a crew member, they go right into your hand. You can use them on your next turn. Now these 2 are going to help you get and turn in gems for money. Now I'm going to go a little bit over more of those a little bit later, but when we talk about diving, at the beginning of the game there is a bag, and this bag is going to have a certain amount of gems in it depending on this default here. There's going to be 7 silver, 3 gold, 1 red gem, 0 green, and 0 purple. Now anytime these cards come into play, meaning they're actually out possibly to be purchased, we'll place a gem of that type into the bag. So once these are out, we know that there's been at least 1 gem. If these are the first ones out, it'd just be 1 gem, but there's more of these cards that come out throughout the game. And normally, if you go on a dive and you're able to get this or this, it's artifacts and antiques, you'd get nothing unless you have one of these guys that's good at getting those, which would make those 5 and these worth 8. So you're going to want these to actually help you get some more money when you go diving. These ones are going to actually allow you to help you avoid hazards, which I'll show you in just a moment. These are sort of creatures. So these cards are essentially going to help you move, make money, or press your luck longer. Now the last possible action you can do on your turn, and you only get 1, is to dive. Now I'm going to dive in this tile. Now anybody that's in just an adjacent spot, that's these 2 spots here, can move their ship there. But if they do, they have to go just right in the middle. They're not going to get one of the special abilities that this tile will grant. So let's say, yeah, both of these players come in to jump in this dive with me. Now this dive board shows you if there's gems that we're able to find, each player is going to be able to make that much money based upon the amount of gems. So each silver is worth 1, each gold's worth 2, each red gem is worth 4. Now, so what's going to happen is the leader of the dive, the one that took the action, will take this bag and they will pull a gem out and they will find some treasure. So now this is silver. Sometimes I like to just put it over here because I found the silver and the gold are kind of hard to tell apart sometimes in the different lighting. And they can decide to stop or keep going. Let's say they decide to keep going. Now, let's say when they pull out a gem, It is a black one. Well, black ones are creatures. The first one is free. Now, if a second black one is pulled out, you must be able to defend against that creature or you've busted. Now, the same thing goes to happen if a blue gem is pulled out. This is oxygen depletion. And that means that if there's another oxygen depletion, you either need to be able to defend for that or you'll bust. So theoretically, let's say we pressed our luck and the leader pulls out another black. This goes here. That means all players have the chance to play a card, which has this black symbol on it, to defend against that creature, and they would essentially play this card from their hand to their pile in front of them and on their board like I showed you earlier. That will keep them in. However, if the person who actually took the action to do this dive, if they bust, this will be the last turn of the round regardless. But if they want to keep going, they can. If they were the ones to be able to play this, they'll keep going. But each player needs to defend for this or they're out. Now, a really important thing is that if you bust, you do not make any money on any of the gems, but you can possibly make money on cards. For example, let's say we had pulled all these gems before we ended up busting, and let's say that the leader was able to block this creature, but then they decided to stop because they didn't have any more cards that would possibly block other creatures and or oxygen depletion. Now again, anyone that busted will not make money from any of these, but they might make money from a card. For example, someone might have had this card, which would give them 6 coins if there were 4 silvers there. There's 4 silvers. Even if a player busted, meaning they couldn't fight off this creature, they'd still be able to make money off of any cards that they played. Now these come from your hand, and once they're played, they're down in your deck and you need to rest to get them back for future turns. So that any cards that people played, they're able to get whether they bust or not. But if you don't bust, you also get the money here. So like this would be 1 each. So you'd be able to get 4 for this, you'd be able to get 4 for this, and nothing for that unless you had one of the cards that allowed you to score for those, like Cornelius that we saw. If someone had this, again, whether they busted or not, and they played this card when this came out, they'd be able to get 5 for that. So that's kind of how the dive works, is the leader's going to press their luck as long as they want. If they ever bust, everyone has to stop. But whether you bust or not is really important, because you're always getting stuff from the cards you've played, but you're only getting the additional money from the gems if you did not bust. Which means sometimes the person actually taking the action to dive can force everyone else to bust too, because they don't want them to get all of these points as well. Now the other thing is, where you are on this tile that you're doing the dive makes a difference. Now for example, these two jumped in from an adjacent, so they had to be in the middle of the tile. However, if they didn't, if they were actually already here when the dive began, they could have been on some of these. Now this is important because this is like oxygen. So if one of those oxygen gems came out, the depletion, and it may have busted, you could have used this, move to the middle to activate this to stay in for one more round, which is cool. Sometimes you'll have tiles that actually have the creature that you can do that to as well. Now at the end of the round, if you did not bust and you're in one of these spots, you get a bonus. So the red gems would be worth 10 instead of just 4, or the gold would be worth 5 instead of just 2. So some of those will give you some strategy as well. And at the end, regardless of if the leader was forced to come up and bust, they'll still get the amount of coins that are on this as well. And then this tile would essentially get removed. Now the money you make essentially goes into this treasure chest, which is really cool, and the coins essentially are tokens like that. Then all the gems go back in the bag. Now 4 of the tiles will have this little icon on it in the middle, and when this one resolves, it's a sunken city, and it goes on the board in the right spot, and once the 4th one of this sunken city gets there, that's the timer for the game and ends the game, so there's a little bit of push and pull as to when the game will end. And speaking of these sunken city tiles, each time one of these is pulled, there's a special ability that happens. One of these cards gets pulled for the game, and it's for the whole game. Like, the dive leader must pull 2 gems at a time from a bag. And again, that's anytime you're using a sunken city tile. Or maybe all those have all cards played for victory points grant 4 points more than what is listed on them. And there's a whole variety of different ones. And you only use 1 per game, which gives the game a lot of replayability. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most money is the winner. All right, let's first talk about the things I liked about it. In typical Days of Wonder fashion, fantastic art and production. The cards, all the sailor, the crews, they just look so good. I mean, the cards are so well done. Plus having those cool little treasure chests to keep all the money in, that's cool too. So like usual, it looks good on the table and all the components are great. Now getting down to the gameplay itself, even just first at the beginning of the game, as you start bringing these different crew members out, I like how the ones that specialize in certain gems bring more gems into the bag, of course, because they're going to be probably getting scooped up by one of the players, and it's going to give that type of gem more chances for it to be, to be taken. So I like that, how it's sort of like, hey, somebody comes out, one of those gems goes in the bag. So when you get one of those guys, and it kind of changes the distribution of what's going in the bag, and having the gems, that distribution change definitely changes your strategies as the game goes on. The crew cards, this is really the heart of the game, is figuring out which way your strategy is going to go with these cards. Now, you can focus, let's say, different ways. Like, for example, if you get too many cards, then when you rest, you only get 3 back. So it's going to be harder for you to get the cards that you really want, possibly right when you need them, if you have too many cards. So you might need to not get too many and just really focus on a few different strategies there, not spread yourself thin and get everything that looks good to you. But having more cards, again, it's harder. So sometimes you want to focus, sometimes you might try to stretch yourself out, but knowing that you're going to have to possibly rest on your turn more often than you'd like in order to get the cards that you really need that might pay off big. You could go really conservative with your strategy. So you could focus on getting the blacks and the blues, the ones that allow you to stay underwater, the ones that allow you to fend off the creatures, and be very conservative. And then when you're the leader, you can really push hard and probably cause more other players to bust, which means they're only going to be able to score their cards, not their gems, and you're going to be able to stay down longer. And even when it's not your turn, you might be able to stay down longer as well than others, or at least hang out as long as the leader does and score the gems as well. So that's kind of cool. Or you could go risky and not worry too much about the blue and black cards and really try to get the gems. Again, you're going to have more risk, but possibly more rewards as well. So that's sort of the balance of this game. I like that the artifacts and the antiques, the purple and greens, they're worth 0 unless you get one of the crew cards that lets you get in there. Those ones are sort of harder to get. And I really do like that, pressing your luck as the leader, causing others to bust, watching what cards players are taking and playing, and knowing whether they have a lot of defense or not, and pushing that luck and trying to cause them to bust, even though you have some cards that might allow you to stay longer. That's kind of a cool thing. I like that when you're doing a dive, it allows you to pull adjacent boats can jump in and get on that dive, and that really helps the game out a lot, because when you're thinking about diving, you're like, oh, if I move here, if I dive here, then these players can come. I don't know if I want that. Sometimes you'll move way away from other players, and then your next turn, try to dive there by yourself just to get all the things by yourself. That's kind of cool too. And I like that even if you do bust, you at least get to score the cards from the crews, but you're giving up all the points from the gems, and that's sort of a good balance there too. Overall, I enjoyed the game. It was fine. It says 45 minutes to an hour. That's about right. About an hour probably for your first game. And if everyone knows what they're doing, you could probably play it in 45 minutes, but I would just mark out an hour for the game. Anything negative about it? The silver and gold gems, to me, unless you're in really good lighting, they look very similar when they're out, on the board and things like that. When it's kind of tough to tell which one was pulled, which one, what is it really? So those are a little too close. But the bigger problem I have with the game is, this is a longer pressure luck game. If you think about pressure luck games in general, most of them tend to be shorter filler games like Ink and Gold and things like that. But if I'm playing a longer game that's pressure luck, this game does have different strategies that allow you to mitigate the pressure luck or not, and that's going to be your decision. But in a longer game, I'd like to have bigger moments, more exciting moments, everyone standing up, whoa, I can't believe that just happened, oh no, and lots of explosions of emotions when I play a pressure luck game, especially if it's going to be one that's this. This one didn't do that for me. This one was like, oh yes, I got my purple, great. Oh, and that was about it, and I had the crew member to score that. Or I finally got the red one, great, I have the crew member. But never were there like these huge eruptions of games like, I'd say, The Big Score, one that came out last year. It was about an hour long. It had like some crazy stand-up moments during the pressure luck aspect. So for me, for it to be as long as it is, and it's not a long game, it's an hour, but for it to be mainly a pressure luck game that's an hour long, I would have liked to have had bigger moments there. I know this more, it is a pressure luck game that is more about thinking, more about strategy, and let's see what happens. It's more contained, and I tend to like to have my pressure luck games be very exciting, and this one wasn't really that for me. It was more thinky, which isn't bad. It's just not what I was hoping for in this game, but hopefully that you should know now whether or not this game is for you. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games by helping you find the next one you'll love. Did you miss the Game Topper 2.0 Kickstarter? Have no fear, it's not too late to get in on the ultimate gaming accessory. Convert your table into a high-quality gaming table with a fully portable Game Topper system and take advantage of some of the best 3mm premium gaming mats in the industry. New styles, new sizes, and new accessories can be yours. Upgrade every game you play by late backing now at GameToppersLLC.com.